One of his favorite expressions was in God's time, in God's time, and that would calm people down.
Change is going to come. We may not see it, and we couldn't rush things, but we had to be patient and continue to work to bring about the change.
We may not see changes in our lifetime. We may see some gradual changes, but eventually they would come.
In God's time, I think with him was that, just be patient, don't take the violence, don't hate, love your fellow man. And I think it was just an idea of let God's grace work upon everybody.
He was a giving person, and he loved to talk, and he loved to teach you things. In other words, he opened up the outside world to us, because being from a small neighborhood and never been nowhere, he could tell you about other things that happened in the other side of the world, around the world.
Well, I'll say I knew him quite well, being a member of the same religious community, the Oratory. I found him to be a very prayerful man, a very quiet man, and I think it was his faith and his spirituality that allowed him to work with the black community in that era of time, so that he could bridge the gap between our white citizens and our black citizens.
He was a true Oratorian. He was a man of the people, and when he saw a need, that something needed to be done, he did it.
The Oratory felt the need for black Catholics to be able to have a place to worship, because it was an era of segregation. They had to really reach out to the black community to form a Catholic parish and a neighborhood center where the black citizens of Rock Hill could attend and have recreation needs.
St. Mary's first opened up, but there was a lot of people was anti-Catholic. But my father was an open-minded person, and he told us that, you respect everybody's religion, and that's how we was able to go there when other kids wouldn't.
When the Oratorians discussed that they were going to integrate the school, many of them didn't think it was a good idea, and they knew what would be facing the community. I think the black community, many of them knew that their children would get a better education. And yes, in the white community, some white parents took their children out of the school. There was opposition. It was typical of what happened in early integration. At school, the kids were forced to be together, but if there was a birthday party or lunch or anything, it was complete segregation. Socially, it was not. It was a hard beginning.
The segregation limited so many people, particularly people of color, that places to go, places to eat, places to stay. We had some of that problem when we had our youth groups, would go for statewide Catholic conventions where the African American students were not able to stay in the same hotel where our white students stayed, places that they'd want to go if they had it. If we had African American being in it, they wouldn't give us the place for the banquet. And he was very cognizant of that. And again, he just thought that all that was morally wrong, and he wanted to change it.
Father Henry gained the trust of the people by his interaction with the people and how he treated them. He treated everybody the same. So the people to trust him, because he instilled in the ideal what they were trying to do was going to make everything better for everybody. He
was with the Friendship Nine, along with the other ministers. He was probably their spiritual advisor. He helped them, and he kept in contact a lot of times with the families. And until his death, he kept contact with those that were in the Friendship Nine. Father Henry was, he put his life into his work at St. Mary's, and was very dedicated to the black citizens, the black Catholics, to the community at large. He was a person that when he said he was going to do it, he did it. If he said he was going to march, he marched. If he was your friend, he was your friend. And I think sometimes he paid dearly with certain friendships with other white citizens because of his stance at St. Mary's. But, you know, he was a prayerful man, and he just rolled with the punches.
I believe he's deserving of this award because of the activity and the things that he instilled in the young people and how he brought the black community together. Because as a community, we were mostly divided. He fought discrimination not also as a person, but as a Catholic priest. So he did deserving of this award because he was one of those guys that stuck to his belief, stuck to what he thought was right.
He brought the community together. I cringe to think what would have happened without Father Henry and the Oratorians in the community. Things would not have changed. The one problem Father Henry always faced was lack of funds in the community. People didn't have any money.
I think Father Henry should be recognized because he represented the white community in that era of time. He was not afraid of what people thought of him. He just wanted, again, do what was morally right, and we all had a moral responsibility to respond, and he responded with his whole life.